Hey Collective, it's Al, and welcome back to the channel. I actually wanted to come to you guys today and talk about something I just did that I thought was kind of interesting. Do you guys know how when we're talking about ascension and about not everybody gets to go where we're going as far as raising the collective's vibration and so forth, and the things are changing, and that the matrix, if you will, or Gaia, if you will, are both in the middle of transition, and it's kind of one of those things where those that make the cut will be going on to something greater and better, or not better, but different, and something that's more uplifting, and something that is very much about equality and unity for the planet. And then all of those other individuals that are not with that and don't want to expand their minds or expand and evolve with the rest of the race, that there's going to be a separation, and that we started to realize that those of us that are higher vibration started to have an issue where we just started to get into a situation where we're not supposed to go into the shadows anymore and try to get people to come out, that we're just supposed to use our voice and do what we can, but that we have to allow the universe to do what it needs to do. And one of the things that shocked me today was that I didn't realize I had been stopping myself in something, and I wanted to share it with you guys because I don't know if any of you would ever have thought this would even be a roadblock for someone. But I apparently had picked up a thing because of my path, where, because I've made mistakes, and we all know that, we all make mistakes, and that's one of the great things about the Academy, is you can't really ever, you know that song Amazing Grace where it says, "Saved a wretch like me"? Well, you can't be that wretch. You can't expand, in my opinion, unless you make mistakes. That's one of the great big points of leadership. And so in this situation, what I had failed to realize is that as I was making my mistakes and making my experience that much greater and more rewarding, I didn't realize that I wasn't stopping to reset myself. And so when we all went to the 1999, well, I guess that was one reset, because 2000 was definitely a reset. And then when we went to 2020, right before that, we all had a reset, right? And that's what everybody's going through right now. And everybody had been warned, like, to make sure that you're giving back to your communities and not being redundant and being all about uplifting the world and so forth. And so I didn't remember, or remind myself, I should say, that when I had re-envisioned my life and what ascension would be like and what my goals were and the vision that I was given, I forgot to recalibrate myself. And this is something interesting I wanted to share, because it's completely, you could have knocked me over with a feather today when my higher self asked me a question. And it was this: are you okay with making more money? And are you okay with being wealthy? Was the question I got. And I honestly was like, what? It had never dawned on me that somewhere along my path in my lifetime, my mother's words had gotten me stuck somewhere, because I was always in a position where I was always about altruism, and I was always about other people, and I was always about the raising the vibration of the planet. But I forgot one thing: you need to start from within. And so I built all this up, and it was almost as if the universe was reminding me very sweetly, I can't give you what you want because you're not acknowledging that it comes with a bunch of perks that you seem to have an issue with. And what it was is that because I was so altruistic and so about humanity, that I forgot that I needed to also make sure that I balanced it with myself. And I was completely shocked with the fact that I didn't have an answer to the question. I had to literally backtrack into my younger years that came flooding in, because it just shocked me. I didn't understand where the question came from. I was like, of course. And then I thought about it for a second. I'm like, wait, am I allowed? And it was that question that shocked me. Am I allowed to be wealthy? Am I allowed to have everything I ever wanted? And here I was looking at the situation. I was like, holy shitballs, Batman, I've been blocking myself. I can't sit there and want to be more philanthropic and be more giving to humanity if I don't first give to myself. And this whole time I've been raised to believe that materialism is like the evil. But I failed to realize that in this world, we are in the 3D. And so you have to value the materialism if you plan on using something to help others. And in this world, one of the great things that we can do is amass a certain amount of spiritual wealth, which then trickles down. But if we're not okay with the physical, financial part of it, then we contradict ourselves, and there's a block, and we get stale, because then we're like, well, I have to wait for the perfect opportunity, or I have to wait for this, or I have to wait for this person, never realizing that we can just go ahead and do it ourselves. But you can't do that if you don't first understand that you are allowed to have money, as a spiritual person. You just can't, you're not supposed to necessarily make it all about that. But the fact that I had been blocked, and this whole time realizing that I needed to do something better for humanity, and I wanted to be of service, that I first needed to be of service to myself and be okay with the fact that maybe my karma is big enough that there's going to be a big abundance that comes not just spiritually, because I've earned that part already. It's what happens if God, or whatever you believe in, a higher source, if they hand you everything that your karma is giving you, and you're getting like all of your ancestral wealth as well, if you're the recipient of that and you are not comfortable with it, then you can never receive it. And it just about fucked my day up, because I was like, holy shitballs, I can't believe I was the reason that I'm not being more successful. It wasn't that I didn't have the drive. It's not that I don't have the skill set. It's not that I don't have the voice. It's not that I don't have XYZ. It's the fact that I never stopped to say to the universe, okay, yeah, no, I'm totally okay with being wealthy. I was talking about, like, they were even, like, if you look back for the past, like, I think month and a half it is, that they had mentioned something about a prenup, and I was thinking about another person. I never stopped to realize that because when I was talking about it, I was like, yeah, you want to make sure that you cover your own ass, but you want to make sure that you cover the other person so that everybody's. But I didn't stop to realize that I also should probably make sure that I'm covered first and foremost before I even got to the prenup. And it was kind of one of those things where free will was a big factor in it, because they were ensuring that I wasn't egotistical about it, but they didn't want to just, I'm assuming my higher self didn't just want to come out and go, hey, dumbass, you're going to need money to do this. But instead, you know how nurturing the universe can be. And so it was a roundabout way. And then when I got the download, when everything came crashing into me today, when I was at the beach, I suddenly was like, oh, well, yes, of course. And I swear to you, it was like, I don't know if you guys ever have like figments of imagination or whatever, but I swear I heard like, a banjo and like, some sort of symphony going off and a bunch of angels like screaming and hollering. I finally accepted the gift. And I was completely just flabbergasted at myself for not ever taking into consideration that just because you're spiritual, if you've earned it, then you can have it. I never thought about that. And because I never had done it, I had never vocalized it. I had never allowed the universe to bring me everything. I said, no, I'll take whatever you want to give me. Again, that's defeatist. That's something that my mom taught me, because she was a very humble woman. She was a very powerful woman, but very humble. And so I must have picked up this thing that made me think that you must always be overly gracious. You must always give more than you get. And so I never understood balance until my higher self randomly picked today to just bring it up. And I thought I would share that with you guys, because I wonder how many of us have the impression that to truly be an inspirational person, or to truly be a spiritual person, that you must somehow suffer, because it's something we're indoctrinated to believe, but we're at a reset. And so just trust me, guys, like you have to have that conversation with your higher self and be like, yeah, I'm okay with that. Because you should already know innately that you're going to use it balanced. You're going to do it judiciously. You're going to use what you have and give back to society. But if you're not okay with first receiving the money, then you can't take the next test. And I had completely flunked the fact that I had always been kind of almost like my nose up at the money thing. Because it's like, no, I'm all altruistic. I'm all about the higher thing. I'm all about... But you can't do that if you don't first take care of yourself. And everybody had been trying to tell me in roundabout ways, but it wasn't until I heard my own inner self say that. And then, wouldn't you know, the little bastard ego got involved and totally fucked my day up even further. All of a sudden, my ego went, wait, does high vibrational people get to do kikis? Do we still get to have a kiki? And I swear to you, that completely fucked my whole day up. I was like, oh, I don't think we're allowed to do kikis. And then for the rest of the day, I'm like, I don't know if I want to live without having the ability to do a kiki. And then I realized what kiki was. I listened to the song, and I was laughing hysterically at myself for the reaction I had. But it was my ego just going, hey. And then I realized, no, you can't. To answer the question of high vibrational people, you really shouldn't be doing a kiki, because a kiki talks about other people and is all judgy. Never mind the whole drug part of it, because we can't do that anyway. But it was about because the kiki is where a group of friends get together and talk shit about whatever, and kind of are a little bit more low vibrational. So the answer is no, and so that kind of bummed me out. And then I went back to the wealthy part, and I was like, oh, I guess that kind of goes together. And I just started laughing at myself. Brilliant as I am, I have the stupidest mind sometimes. Like, I will completely not understand something. I will get the complexity of everything, but I won't remember, like, that everything started with a grain of sand, or a grain of sand. You know what I mean? Like I'll go the extra mile and go really big, but I will always forget that I'm included. You know how they say in spiritual circles, they say, always leave room for God or whatever your higher source is? I always forget to leave room for myself. And it's not anything that I've ever done. It's just something that, like, I'm super humble, and I've always been really happy with the fact that I'm super humble. But you can't be humble if you're not generous to yourself. You know what I mean? Like, if you have nothing to give the world because you were blocking yourself from receiving the gifts that are due onto you, then how do you have anything to give anyone else? And so, until I opened those floodgates, I was blocking myself, and I thought that was fascinating. And then what was the other thing I was going to mention? Oh, I got a weird download. It was Hansel and Gretel, but it was the part where the witch or whatever is plumping up, I think it's Hansel, to make him fat so she can eat him. Because the next thing I saw was just put like a little block between the two. This is a completely separate subject, but was the Hansel and Gretel thing. Right after Hansel and Gretel about plumping up the kid so she can eat it, I got that image of, I think it's the Twilight series, and it's Eclipse. It's Eclipse. At the end of Eclipse, when she goes to save Edward, I can't believe I'm quoting this movie, but that was the video that popped, or the image I saw. When she goes and she meets with the trio, the bad guys, and as soon as they leave, there's a whole group of tourists that are entering that area, and she goes, she's talking to Edward, and he says that they're going to go in there, and she goes, she finds out that they're going to be eaten, and that was the download. Those were the two things that came together, two images. One was Hansel and Gretel with the kid being fattened to get eaten, and then the next image I saw was the actual thing with where they get eaten. I don't know, y'all. All I know is that it happened to coincide around the time when I saw somebody who was on one of those scooters who was morbidly obese, and I was like looking at her, and I was trying not to judge anything, but it all kind of coincided, so I'm not sure what that means to anybody, but just, if I was everybody, I would start getting on a diet. That's what I'm saying. Because it unleashed a bunch of other stuff, but I'm not supposed to speak about the second half of that. I'm just supposed to give you the first part of the download. And then, so, here's the last part of it. And this is going to be like one of those videos people are going to be like, what the fuck is wrong with him? Nothing. I'm just giving you some of the wisdom that I have. This is my personal page. This is not Altruistic Channel. This is Altruistic Channel Arevalo. So I can talk about small shit that doesn't really, that might not mean a lot to other people. But for this vibration, I think it does. Because if it's being brought to me in such a dramatic way, usually it has an indication that it could be something that may be of value to other people, especially like the feminines, because that's where this next part goes. The divine feminine energy is going through this period where we're having to be patient to some degree because we're waiting on our counterparts and they're going through hell. And so to that end, this is what I wanted to say on that. So when you are at this vibration, because we are going to a place where others won't be able to go, we were supposed to, at the end of 2019, let go of the people that were at a lower vibration and kind of just be okay with the fact that we probably weren't going to be seeing a lot of these people ever again. But what I had failed to do myself is I hadn't completely cut off my social network thing, right? And so I was thinking about the divine masculine, who is said to be going through a big dismantling. Their ego's being broken down, but everybody can survive that. It sucks donkey dick, but you'll live. The divine feminine went through it. You do get through it. But what I was going to say is I know that some of the divine, especially my counterpart, is going through, I don't know if it's a business contract or whatever it is, they're tied with something that they can't get past, or they feel like they can't get past it. And the reason I'm even bringing this up is because the download I got was, don't a lot of contracts have a clause where you must align at all times with your personal persona with that of the corporate structure or the corporate motto? And so there might be something to you there. I don't know, buddy. Don't know who that specifically is to. But if you speak your own truth and you no longer align with them, then it may be a way for you to get out of your clause. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. But what I wanted to do to support the divine masculines, because I know it's very stressful to kind of realize that you no longer align with others around you, especially like if it's like a best friend or if it's like a company that you built or whatever. And if you're in that situation, I don't know why that's specifically the example, but if that's stuff that's going on in your world, then I know how hard that is, because I remember when I left when I went through the first thing where with the molestation, and then I left the Catholic Church because of that, and then I went to the Scientology thing and I had to leave that, so I've lost a lot of losing my religion was a big thing when I was a teenager. but it made me stronger. But to this regard, what I wanted to say is I know that some of the divine masculines are going to have to turn away from people that they used to find very near and dear to them, but they don't match your frequency anymore. And so I realized I was being kind of hypocritical because instead of just being sympathetic, I wanted to be empathetic. And so I did something completely, I think, kind of cool. I disconnected my Facebook account without warning, without anything. Because I realized that it's low vibrational, in my opinion, to spend all your time looking at other people's lives instead of working on your own life. And the people that are going to be at my vibration that I'm trying to pull in with the turquoise leadership and these high vibrational people, I'm never going to see these other people again. And it was a harsh reality. And it was really uncomfortable. Again, today was kind of one of those days that kind of brought, it was a big tower moment, but in very small ways because I was prepared for it. I just didn't know it. And so that's why I'm sharing it with the collective. And so I looked at my Facebook, and I even looked at some of my extended family, and I just haven't talked to them. I haven't heard from them in a while. And our energy no longer meets. And so I was realizing that I'm looking at a brand new life. That is what ascension is. We're being granted after this hard study, and with everything that we've done, the universe is handing us a reset, and we get to go to something much greater, a reward cycle and all that. And we knew that we couldn't bring everybody with us. And when I realized I hadn't talked to any of them for a long time, and that I'd been on this journey by myself, and no one's really checked on me, I didn't feel empty. I realized that they were right. And so I just shut it down, and I let them all go. And in that moment, instead of feeling remorseful, and this is to my counterpart and to all the divine masculines out there, instead of it being traumatic and hurtful, I felt free. I genuinely felt free. Because I was now able to make room for the universe to bring me a whole new family, a whole new set of friends. Oh, I mean, you can't ever really, blood is blood, but my specific mother and father and all my nuclear family is long gone. And so, but what I was holding on was to relationships that weren't there anymore. They were there for an old Al that just is dead. That Al is gone. Al's evolved. I hate referring to myself as a third person, but you know what I mean. And so I wanted to give you the moral support in telling you that though I know that your struggle is going to be very different and probably a little bit harder because you're in contact with them, it wasn't easy for the divine feminines to do this. And as someone who's in between the two, it wasn't easy for me to leave everybody I knew a year and a half ago and walk into the unknown, into going from a bartender with a whole shit ton of money in New Orleans to giving it all up and going on spiritual mission to learn what I need to learn about the homeless plight. And it wasn't easy because in the back of my head I thought, oh, well, I can always go back. But you can't go back. And so I just wanted to share with you all that because I did that, I now stand in my full power and in my true beauty, and I stand secure, happy, safe, and sound. And now I've just opened up a whole new life where people will know who I am and what I'm about. I don't have to try to talk people. Like I have this, I'm not going to get into it, but there's just like a toxic element there that it just doesn't get the hint, and I just don't deal with it anymore. And I realize the only reason is because I have social media accounts. But when it comes to something like Facebook for me, it does not match my vibration. And it was better for me to let go and to just go on my own, because I know the universe with the dialogue that's been happening today. It's been a lot of closing doors, because something must be happening that's about to break open. So to the collective, if you're finding yourself in these weird, odd conversations with your higher self, your own monologue, and suddenly they'll ask you something that you think is arbitrary or not important, stop and think about it, because we're about to go like this. Like two legs for the first time that are separating. Like we're about to just go poof. And some of us are going this way, some of us are going that way. If you are ready to let go, for me, I couldn't think of a better way to be there energetically for my other half who's going through it. Like I don't know the specifics, I'm not that needy, and I'm doing my own thing, but I know that he is going through some sort of thing where there's something's being broken down, and it's someone that he cares about. That's all I know, right? Because that's what keeps coming up. But instead of prying about it, I thought I would just share with him and with all of you out there in YouTube world that if you know that you're going somewhere else, then you sometimes are blocking yourself by not letting go of that which no longer serves your higher self. And I don't want to spend my life, personally speaking, this is an I statement, I don't want to spend my life worrying about people who are never going to understand me because they're locked in their own thing. I'm all open to all sorts of things. I'm looking at different theosophies, religions, faiths. I'm expanding my mind about alien conversations. Like, I'm all about the super intelligent intelligentsia who's now ready to evolve and help humanity. That's where my passion is, right? So I had to let go. And it hurt. But it got easier because I was able to just shut Facebook down. I didn't even think twice about it, to be honest with you. I thought about my counterpart, and I thought about energetically the fact that we're connecting and that, we affect each other in weird ways. Because I know when he's going to get upset. Let me put it that way. A day before he gets upset, because I'm the one with the psychic part, I will suddenly have a mood swing that's not mine, because I'm really balanced. And I will know that means that the next day he's going to have something happen in his life. Wouldn't that be helpful for him to know that if we were together? But there's something blocking that. And it might be fear. And so instead of being all judgy about it, I decided to do what the Divine Feminine normally would do, which is to do something that shows an energetic lift that's there for you. So just know that I did it. And it sucks. It hurts really bad. And then your ego's a little bit bruised because you're like, well, I really cared about these people and they're not there for me. But then you're expecting something from them, and that's not love. And so when I took the mission and I decided to go out and do this, I thought they would be there, and they weren't. But it was okay because I was strong enough. That was the whole lesson. And so if you're in the moment, Divine Masculine, where you're being challenged with having to go out on your own to live your own dream, and people are disapproving, but you knew that this was coming. You knew that it was upon you. You can't get 5 more minutes. You can't say to the divine, hey, I'm almost ready. It's time. And so to be there as a brother, I decided that I would actually show you moral support and do the unthinkable. I closed my social media account, and I didn't get anybody's phone numbers. I haven't talked to them. These are people who I just, if there's no connection and there's no editing, they wouldn't even read my book. And I was okay with that because I figured, hey, but I want people around me who love me, not the old me, because that's nowhere near who I am, right? That's not who you are. That's not who your best friend is anymore. And if you guys aren't, not you guys, but if we're not aligning with them, then they just hold us down. The divine is handing those of us at this frequency a wonderful opportunity to break free of something and to rise beyond what the world has seen before. But I realized I wasn't able to do that because energetically, I personally was locked to people who weren't there. It indicated the truth to the universe. What I find is the truth here. It indicated to the universe I was still looking to the past for my happiness. And I wasn't willing to give the opportunity or the chance to the universe to show me the blessings of what starting over looks like. Instead of mourning it, I'm grateful for it. People who are meant to be in your life come with you no matter what. And chance will take care of that. It's not like I'm a cold-hearted person. It's just, I've learned. And for my boo out there, Buddha butt, whatever you're going through, I'm right here. And for those of you who are Divine Feminines who are watching this thinking of your Divine Masculine, even though you may not know them, but it's energetically, we're definitely all linking up. Just know your strength and know that once you two come together, it's like a mirror reflection of you, only if you're female and divine in a heterosexual dynamic. It would be Divine Feminine coming into balance with the Divine Masculine who mirrors the other in heterosexual, right? And so where there's a little bit of shortcoming on this side or a little bit of, issue here, the other person will compensate. But not in a way that saves each other, but that meets each other at eye level. Imagine the beauty of that. That should be our focus. For those of us in gay, bisexual, I don't know what it is because there's something about bi. I don't judge anybody. Bisexual, I don't know how that's going to work out. But you know what I mean. You're going to find your counterpart. Everybody, and then gay, you're going to find your counterpart. But when you find them, think of the reward that presents itself. You have found somebody who will never leave your side, unless you both have truth. But I'm saying that they will evolve with you. That's what the sacred unions that we're building now. Well, not we, but that's what is being brought together. You're suddenly thinking about somebody nonstop, or you're suddenly aware of someone else's energy, and it's almost bugging you because you're just like, well, then fucking get off the fucking toilet and stop, stop fucking around and make your approach. But we all have to remember that this is something that is so sacred that it's taking us thousands of years to get here. If you understand the joy of this love union that's coming together, we are reuniting God in loving relationships. So, a bisexual couple coming together that wants to do that, but that are linked together in that way, are a representation of the ultimate love. The heterosexual couple coming together is the reflection of the ultimate love to God in that dynamic. Then there's me and my partner coming together in the ultimate way in that way. All of that love, that's the epitome of true love. But we can't get there if we're looking backwards, because then we're not here. You see what I'm saying? And so I know it's a small gesture because I'd already done most of the work previously. I just wanted my other half, and for those of you on the collective to know, that the divine has been training you. Your higher source has been preparing you for your new reward season. But you need to get rid of anything that could possibly be venomous. I know that sounds horrible, but someone I used to love a lot has become very, very toxic to me. And I don't want that for my life. I don't want that for my future. I don't want that for my present. And so just understand that we as a collective are at a point now where we got to be big boys and big girls. But don't feel like there's no one understanding you. We get you. We totally hear you, to the Divine Masculine. And the Divine Feminine has had to cut a lot of people out. But when you come together with your other half, no matter how afraid you are of that level of intimacy, or if you're not used to dating and whatnot, you know that the moment your eyes lock, it's over. You have God's love reflecting back at you. That is the beauty of higher standards. It's the beauty of making this journey. It's the beauty of evolution of the mind. It's when you meet another that knows that you're going to be someone that you have to always be on the up and up. You're not going to be able to go to this person and bullshit them, because they're going to be uber intuitive. So they'll know you're lying and they'll call you on it. Also, you can't look at other people because your eyes will be on this person. Why would you go and date someone who is just going to hurt you when you can have the person that's going to love you forever, as long as you both love each other? No one is vying for the other's attention. This is literally the divine going, you two were designed to come together and do great things. It could be in business, it could be in friendship, it could be in love. But for the Divine Masculine, I just wanted you to know that I'm there for you, and to be energetically linked with you, and to bring unity. I cut everybody off because I'm willing to bet, and I'm placing my bet on the universe being there for me and us. If we want a new life, if we want to be part of this new adventure that's unfolding, we knew that we were going to have to let go. So I let go. And you will too. And when we come together, here's the thing I learned. The longer that we try to do this by ourselves, the longer we suffer. And then you're just sadistic and masochistic to some degree. You're just into SM a bit. Boo-boo. Because why do it alone when you can have a friend that's going to be there for you? You don't have to immediately jump into bed together. You can just get to know each other. Or you can start a business together. It doesn't mean anything more than it is, especially at this level. But why go alone when we can start actually reaching out to each other and being like, hey, y'all know who I have crushes on? Shit. Y'all know. I don't hide my feelings because I'm not afraid. And I know that you guys aren't afraid. It's just that it's an emotional attachment. You have this, you wanted, it feels like a lot of Divine Masculines are in someone else's kingdom. And that's really hard to get out of, because it's not that you don't love them. It's just that, do you want to do your own thing? And if you do, then you're going to have to be willing to let it go. Because understand that what you're giving up is nowhere near as big as what you're getting in exchange. And instead of being afraid of the transition and prolonging it and trying to be ready for something you can't be ready for, Just let it go. Trust me, I just did it. It was the last thing that was of my past that I was holding on to. And I've never been happier than that. It's not scary because it was the right thing to do. I know now that the universe can fill my life up with all of what's positive and everything that I should have. But as long as I was attached to the past looking for, I don't know, attention or looking for some sort of emotional thing, I couldn't grow. I just want to share that with you guys. I know it's a little weird type of one, but for somebody out there, I know that there's a lot of us in the collective, especially Divine Masculine, who are having to let go of people. So just know, you're not alone. And there's a lot of Divine Feminine who wanted to hear this too. So that's it for me, guys. You guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to check out Altruistic Channels over there, because there's like a lot of good stuff that I'm putting up there that have to do with the turquoise leadership and kind of advancing the collective forward and raising the vibration. And then like and share and subscribe if you like. Thanks, guys.